Hello, my name is Casey Sheridan. I work on the partnerships team here at Matter, and welcome to our 51 Labs final showcase. For those who aren't familiar with Matter, we're a global healthcare incubator and corporate innovation accelerator that's headquartered here in the city of Chicago. We were founded about 8 years ago on the mission to accelerate the pace of change of healthcare, and we have 3 core areas of our business that serve into that mission. First and foremost, we incubate startups. Since we launched 8 years ago, we've worked with over 800 healthcare startups across the ecosystem, helping them build their business, connecting them to customers, and connecting them to capital. Collectively, our member organizations have raised over $5 billion to fuel their growth. Secondly, we work with large organizations, so think health systems, payers, pharmaceutical companies, associations, and more, to help them build out their innovation capacity. And third, Matter is a community nexus. We like to bring together all of you, folks who are interested in healthcare innovation and transformation, to get you all together to be inspired, to learn, and ultimately to connect with one another. We do that through a lot of programming. Some is open to the general public, like this event, and some are smaller closed-door forums, specifically for our member and partner communities. Last year, we launched 51 Labs, which is our women's health platform that accelerates the development of innovations to improve women's health. Each year, the focus of the program will focus on a different area of need within women's health. And for this inaugural program, we chose to focus on menopause. Women make up over half, 51% of the US population. And menopause is a life stage that every woman will experience. It can be a very challenging and long time, really disrupting women's day-to-day lives, as many of you know. Yet, innovation within the space has seen next to no funding and very little activity. We were so excited to welcome aboard Astellas, Walgreens, University of Chicago Medicine, Baycare, Parkview Health, and Capita 3 to join us as we worked to identify, source, and ultimately advance solutions tackling menopause. From a pool of applicants, those top 11 solutions were identified, and they participated in a rigorous 12-week curriculum, really honing in on building both their business and entrepreneurial capabilities. Along the way, we've been incredibly fortunate to be joined by 3 lead mentors who have really worked hand in hand with the cohort, providing your unparalleled expertise in both entrepreneurship and women's health to advance these solutions. So thank you so much, Pamela York, Delphine O'Rourke, and Jennifer Freed, for dedicating your valued time to this program. We really, really appreciate it. Beyond our partners, our sponsors, and our lead mentors, we had a fantastic group of healthcare executives raise their hands that really wanted to volunteer their time to help advance our 11 solutions. So there's too many of you that have touched this program to list. You know who you are, and we're so appreciative of your time and everything that you've brought to this program, so thank you. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about how today's program is going to run. We have our 11 startups here with us who are going to come up one by one and deliver their 5-minute pitch to our panel of experts. After each individual pitch, our 3 panelists will have 5 collective minutes to go ahead and ask them questions about their presentation and about their solution. We do have quite a few pitches, so I've built in a couple of 15-minute breaks so we can all get a good stretch in today. And I think that is about it. So before I turn it over and we dive right into the pitches, I would like to welcome and introduce our 3 expert panelists who are joining us from UChicago Medicine, from Astellas, and Walgreens. If the 3 of you wouldn't mind joining me right up here and introducing yourself to the crowd, that would be fantastic. And Dr. Snow, kick us off.
Okay, all right. Am I on? I'm Dr. Sherry Snow. I'm Associate Chief Medical Officer at University of Chicago. I am also Chief of Gynecology and Minimally Invasive Surgery, also at University of Chicago, and I am a certified menopause practitioner. So I'll be very interested to see in this realm what we have that'll innovate in a field that I also work in day to day. I'll pass it along, please.
Hi, my name is Allison Troy. I work at Astellas. My role there is to identify solutions that can help bridge the gap between clinical trial results and patient outcomes in the real world. So I focus on areas where we try to understand what are the barriers that get in the way of real world outcomes, and then assessing solutions that can mitigate those barriers and help to deliver the best possible outcomes for patients.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Dr. Andrea Calero. I'm a pharmacist by training, and today I spend all of my time on product development for Walgreens. So we have a team of product development managers developing thousands of products that we sell on our shelves that many of you have probably purchased at some point. So super excited to be here today and learn about all the different opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you all. All right, so without further ado, let's get started with our first presentation of the day. Anne from Alloy, come on up.
Okay. Thank you. The mic's working, yeah? I'm a New Yorker, and I've been told already this morning at a breakfast panel I speak very quickly, so it might not even take 5 minutes, apparently. But thank you so much to Matter and to all of the experts and mentors here today for having me and for working with us over the last several months at Alloy Women's Health. Before I get started today, I want to tell you a story about my co-founder, Monica Molnar, who can't be here today. But she, at the age of 40, was diagnosed with the BRCA gene. She's a born and raised New Yorker. The entire medical community of New York City, her many doctors and others, were convincing her to remove some part of her body to mitigate the breast cancer risk. So she went ahead and had her ovaries removed when she was 40 at Sloan Kettering Hospital. So she had 6 or 7 people talking to her up until that point. She left Sloan Kettering with 0 advice, guidance, or any advice on what to do for the state that she was then in, which was surgical menopause overnight, which is even more severe and extreme than those of us who go through it naturally. So it took her 5 years and 5 doctors to finally get the care that she needed. And this is a crime, and this is why we started Alloy. She's not alone. There are 55 million women, as many people in this room know, who are currently in menopause in the United States. There are only 1,100 certified menopause practitioners, like Dr. Sherry Snow. And that is just simply not enough. So we are using technology and the internet to scale that expertise. But the real problem is that every single one of those women, including Monica and anyone who's going through menopause for the most part, feels like they are doing it alone. So at Alloy, we have solved her problems. Not only are we getting her the evidence-based care and solutions that she needs, we're scaling the expertise of certified menopause practitioners through our online platform, and we are delivering her FDA-approved RX solutions straight to her door, because for many women, looking for a menopause solution has become a full-time job, and most of us have 3 or 4 of those, so we don't need to do that. But really, what we hear the most from patients and what we've worked the hardest on in many ways is that ongoing care. So once you become an Alloy member, you have 24/7 access to message your doctor, who knows your medical history, through our dashboard, and that doctor will get back to you within 24 hours. You can ask them any question. As many of us know, some of the most urgent questions hit you at 2 o'clock in the morning, and some of us don't have 6 months to wait for the doctor, in New York City anyway, to call us back. We are available in 50 states, by the way, not just New York. Our actual offerings, our first year, so we launched in November of 2021. Our first year, we focused entirely on solving her pain, so her vasomotor symptoms and her, let's see if I can say this, genitourinary symptoms of menopause. That is mostly predominantly the estradiol pill and patch with progesterone as a pill and the vaginal estradiol cream. Phase 2, we launched this year. We are sparking her joy. We've solved her pain, now we're sparking her joy. So we've launched 2 products. One is a face cream for her skin, another is an orgasm-enhancing cream, and later this year, we will launch a product for her hair as well, all RX and evidence-based. The great news is it's working. We have a lot of customers. We've gotten a lot more this year. Almost 90% of them feel better within 2 weeks. Over 50% of them do cite that care that we are giving them as their favorite part of Alloy. And most importantly, we've earned her trust. This is the one that all the venture capitalists like. This is how we make money. We are a recurring bill subscription model. Last year, our average order value was $140. With the introduction of the new products, we are seeing that increase. 2023, if we stick with what we've seen so far, we will be over $300 in AOV. And that treatment duration extends partly because we're solving more of her problems, but it also is because the North American Menopause Society this past summer changed their guidelines on how long women can take HRT. There is no end limit to when you have to stop taking it, according to NAMS. And we look forward to being cash flow positive by the end of this year. So we're now in phase 2. We have 3 parts to phase 2, and happily we've knocked off the first and the second. We've introduced the new products, which I spoke about briefly. We have really implemented an on-the-ground organic marketing strategy, which leans into my talents, and I'll tell you more about myself on the next slide, or maybe it's 2 more. We have really seeded word of mouth. We've gotten a lot of press. We were featured in this New York Times Magazine article, which if any of you have not read, you need to read. It's the best thing written about menopause in years, I think, for us lay people. And so the organic marketing is going well. What we're here to do today is to talk to you about how you can help us expand our distribution model to include a national pharmacy, a large healthcare system, so that we can enable our access beyond cash pay and really start working with the insurance companies, et cetera. So we're looking for $1 million to expand our distribution model. As I said, we'd love to partner with a national pharmacy and or a large health system to be their menopause solution. We would take all 3 of these. We would also take one of them, if any of you have any guidance there. This is our team. I told you about Monica in the middle. I spent 25 years in magazines. I like to joke I'm the only person on our staff without an MBA, an MD, or a JD. I have a PhD in talking to women. I was an editor-in-chief of Mary Claire magazine for 7 years. Before that, editor-in-chief of Brides magazine. And I spent 10 years at Vanity Fair as well. And Sharon Malone, who is our founding chief medical advisor, we found by listening to Michelle Obama's podcast in the summer of 2020. They are good friends, and they were joking and talking seriously about Michelle Obama having hot flashes on Air Force One and what she could do about it. Oh, I forgot to mention that Sharon Malone has become, you're seeing my last slide, one of the leading expert voices on menopause. She's actually speaking at a conference today, and she's on the road a lot. And later this month, she will be on stage with one of the world's largest television journalists. I'm not allowed to say who it is yet, but it's confirmed, and we're looking forward to that at the end of March. So we really believe we've built the best product, service, and brand. We have the best customers. They love us, and we love them. We're really looking for channel partners to get this solution out to as many people as possible so that more women can start feeling better as soon as possible. Because, as Sharon Malone likes to say, menopause is inevitable, but suffering doesn't have to be. Thank you.
Great job, Anne. And to our expert panelists, go ahead and ask your questions.
Thank you very much. Really interesting approach to making sure that you have evidence-based guidelines and working with the North American Menopause Society with certified menopause practitioners to make sure that the advice you're giving out. My first question would be, you mentioned a couple times insurance coverage. Is there a cost to the patient for their initial consultation? And are they able to get these prescriptions through a normal pharmacy, say a Walgreens, in order to not have to pay an out-of-pocket expense to get them through Alloy? And what does that do to your bottom line?
Okay, great. So I think there are 3 parts to that question.
Yes.
One is, what does it cost the patient today? So we waive the doctor consultation fee. We're asynchronous, so doctors can really do this on their own time through text. So we are minimizing the doctor's time, but the doctors all worked with us on the algorithm, and they oversee all of the recommendations. So the doctor cost would be $35 for the visit, and we do have an option before you. If you see your recommendations and you still have questions and you don't want to buy, you can pay $35 for a 3-day window with which you can text your doctor. That said, our sort of most popular product is the estradiol pill plus progesterone pill, and that is about $40 a month. So we are strictly cash pay at the moment. We would love to very quickly, and we're working on in 2023, a model where we can send the prescriptions to your local pharmacy. And then you still have the backup of the 24/7 access to the doctors, and we have online support groups and a bunch of content and webinars that are also services to our customers, which people seem to really like. So the idea being that they would still get a lot of value from their Alloy membership, but they would not have to pay for their those prescriptions that we offer that are FDA approved and reimbursable. There was a third part.
No, you got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and wonderful presentation, thank you. My question is about scalability. There's been a number of different companies that have come out with high-touch models that, they may be able to handle the current customer base, but as they rapidly get more customers, it can become a challenge to deliver the level of customer service and also the cost associated with a high-touch model. What is your approach for scaling?
So we're in 50 states, and we have doctors licensed in every state of the country, which was a feat. But so we have about 4 doctors now that are servicing our over 5,000 patients. We really believe in care. We really believe in expertise. The secret actually is that, and I wrote a story about this that's out in Oprah Daily today. As you know, many, many menopause cases are not that complicated. And so as long as the history is okay, the actual interaction doesn't take that much of the doctor's time, and it's mostly she, we have one guy, can do it on her own time, so she can log in for an hour or 2 a day, take care of all of her questions, and because we have that 1 business day guarantee, as long as they do that once a day, they're fine, and right now we have 0 issues with their time. We have plenty of room to grow, and because our prescriptions, as we add more prescriptions, there's no extra cost to us to creating the prescription. There's no R&D or product development cost.
Great presentation, thank you.
Thank you.
Quick question for you. Have you thought about, or how have you thought about expanding? So I saw on the one slide all the different types of prescription items that can help address some of the issues that happen. What about complementary over-the-counter areas, so things like sleep and stress and dry skin? How do you plan on incorporating, addressing those type of needs with this program?
Well, a partnership with the National Pharmacy would be great for that. And also we do, we wanted to really nail what we're doing first, and we really are sort of committed to the evidence-based piece of it. And so there are some supplements and things that we probably wouldn't sell. However, there's plenty of things this woman needs, and we're happy to add things, especially if we wouldn't have to hold inventory, again, with a partner like a national pharmacy chain. We would be happy to add more and more to her cute little alloy pouch that she gets sent to her home every 3 months.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, Anne.
Thanks.
All right. Next up, we have Lowen from Amira.
Can people hear me okay? Okay, I'm Lowen Cable, the CEO and co-founder of Amira. Before I get started, I do want to thank Matter for this incredible program, bringing us together with so many amazing founders you'll get to hear from today, and giving us the stage to talk about what we've dedicated our lives to. So I thank you so much for that. So we are Amira. We are focused on reinventing the reality of menopause, starting by enabling women to sleep through their hot flashes. And in the process, by collecting their biometric data, paired with advanced AI, we would love to usher in a new age of proactive care. So we have built just the team to do that. We have brought together a world-class team of MIT engineers, Harvard PhDs, Google X data scientists, and previous founders, all rallied behind rethinking menopause. So how did this begin? This journey started with my Aunt Kate, who had always been the picture of perfect health for me. I had no idea, however, that she was going through menopause until she was hospitalized one night. So it turns out she was waking up 4 times a night, every single night, for 4 years. And this sleep deprivation got so bad, so extreme, that her entire life was flipped upside down. She'd spend hours each week searching for anything and everything that might help her sleep through the night, and ended up spending well over $10,000 on ineffective, broken products and medications, one of which sent her to the hospital due to its side effects. I thought this had to be niche, that this has to be a one-off. So my now co-founder and I began talking to every menopausal woman that we could find. We ended up speaking with about 350 menopausal women and came away just shocked by this massive iceberg of suffering hidden beneath the surface. We spoke with many women who had to quit their jobs, one woman that would collapse without warning due to her sleep deprivation, and far too many that would do or pay anything to get their life back. The taboo alone has left menopause overlooked by technological and scientific innovation for far too long. And this is not due to the lack of a business opportunity in this space. In the US, there are 42 million women experiencing menopause right now, and by 2025, there will be 1 billion globally. And the average spend on menopause in the US today is $20,000, and this is on primarily ineffective and broken solutions. Diving into the menopause experience revealed to us that the #1 standout complaint around menopause is actually the sleep loss from nighttime hot flashes, the same thing that my aunt experienced. Turns out it's very much not niche. It happens for 4 out of 5 women and is the primary reason that 1 in 10 women are quitting their jobs due to menopause. And unlike popular opinion, this is not a short little stint. For half of women, this lasts over 10 years. I'm excited and proud to announce that Amira has created the solution. We have invented a way that you can predict an impending hot flash and counteract the sleep disruption in advance. So how it works is our patent-pending sensor bracelet identifies an impending hot flash and then automatically actuates our cooling pad to bring the woman's body temperature back in balance to the optimal sleeping conditions. A constant close feedback loop with our future customers has been easily the most critical aspect of our product's formation. We've tested this product with 35 different women, bringing in 500 nights of data. And so far, the feedback has been overwhelming. Women recount not even noticing their hot flashes from the night before, being able to sleep undisturbed for the first time and they don't know how long. This graph shows some of that excitement. It shows a hot flash without our product in purple and a hot flash with our prediction and response in black. So far, we're predicting about 80% of hot flashes, reducing the duration by about 77% and the severity enough so that women sleep through the night. We are pricing our wearable and the associated mobile app with the health analytics and advanced cooling controls for $20 a month. And the cooling mattress pad will be sold upfront for $4.99. This brings our margin to about 97%, given our cost of goods sold being about $90. One thing that I found shocking, given how much society talks about menopause, is that every single month there are 8 million Google searches for some sort of natural hot flash relief. For context, stress relief, stomach aches, these each get about 80,000. This has made it extremely affordable and easy to bring in a waitlist sign-up of 150 women. I'm spending less than $2 per lead. This has informed our initial direct-to-consumer approach, and later, once we have large-scale data sets showcasing the reduction in chronic conditions like diabetes and depression that adding this much sleep each additional night provides, that's when we'll go to insurance providers and employee benefit programs. So this product is our perfect wedge into the growing market that is women's health 40+. This product solves a very clear pain point, enabling women to sleep. Once on the arms of women everywhere, we will then have that data paired with at-home testing to provide context and actions into all aspects of their health. Today, healthcare is reactive. We respond after the damage has already been done. The healthcare of tomorrow is proactive. A tailored response will prevent an individual's symptoms from ever manifesting. The bridge we must build to move us from reactive to proactive-based care is built on seamless health data aggregation intermixed with AI, which is exactly what Amira is here to do. Thank you all for listening on how we plan to bring menopause and with it healthcare into the 21st century. We're always looking for more women to test with or advisors or strategic capital if you know anyone or maybe you are interested in yourself. So thank you so much for taking the time.
All right, expert panelists, whenever you're ready.
I can start out this one. Thank you, great presentation. Where are you manufacturing the products at today?
Yeah, so right now we're manufacturing at lower volume facilities in the Northeast, but in the future we'll be manufacturing in a mix of Mexico and China, and then we'll be splitting up some of our RP, like more intensive hardware in Mexico, since there's less of an IP risk there.
Okay. Are you thinking so the way I understood it was it's $20 per month for the subscription plus the wearable, and then a one-time fee of $4.99 for that mat?
Exactly.
Do you foresee that $4.99 going down once you can move production into Mexico?
It should be able to go down with time. We want to start high, and then later we can reduce costs, offer large discounts. And one day we would love to partner with existing cooling products that are out there, so that would move that cost to zero by integrating in with other cooling solutions.
It would be interesting to see if you could figure out how to get it to be a part of FSA or insurance reimbursable, because the high price point is a barrier. I mean, I've seen people walk out of the pharmacy having to pay $5 copay on a prescription, and it's so just something to think about. I don't know what that would look like, but if you could do that to help augment the price and the out-of-pocket expense for consumers, that would help with such a great offering like that.
Yeah, and right now our margin is at about 97%, so we do have room to move that price point down if the market says that we should move that down.
Yep. Thank you.
This is very interesting. I have two questions for you. The first one's kind of a big question, so you can very much high level it. One of the things that I'm very aware of is that it's technology it's very challenging to predict when a hot flash occurs. What sort of science did you use to build that into your algorithm to know when a hot flash is coming?
Yeah, and that was kind of the bulk of what our whole engineering team has been working on the whole time, is this prediction piece. And this is what differentiates our company from wearable companies that are out there, is nailing down that prediction piece. So it's been a mix of proprietary hardware that I can't quite talk about, and then also some back-end algorithm changes that we've implemented to back into that prediction rate in a highly reliable way when you have those varying indicators paired together.
Great. And then you did show a slide that showed hot flashes with Amira and hot flashes without. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you structured that analysis?
Yeah, so we're still doing this analysis. This analysis will never end. So a big part of this has been monitoring their sleep. So how much sleep do we add for women through each hot flash and through each night? And additionally, by monitoring their personal responses to the severity that they perceived, as well as things like how much they're actually sweating through those hot flashes.
It's just a follow-up question. So is it one woman who uses the device for a certain period of time and the same woman then doesn't wear it, or is it different?
Yes, exactly. So we do randomized controls. So sometimes we have them start with the device, and then we monitor them after using the device, and then mixing that up for different women.
Thank you.
And my question is along that same line.
Yeah.
Did you do any placebo control where they wear the wristband, but they don't actually have the blanket producing a cool sensation?
We've done a lot of placebo controls, because in the beginning it was all placebo controls to lock in the prediction accuracy and lead time. So to answer your question, yes, a lot, many hundreds of nights.
And then I just wanted to reiterate that I think that the price point is perhaps a barrier for a large proportion of women, and especially looking with an equity lens, that it would be, since you do have such a large return on investment as far as the actual cost of the mechanism, you might want to think about some kind of a rebate or even a financially tiered system where you were able to provide care for people without those means.
I think that makes a lot of sense, since once you enter menopause, you think it will last a year, and then you're in there for 10 years. So having something that price-wise associates better in their mind with that 1 year. So I really appreciate that feedback.
Another interesting idea for you to consider, you know, I was blown away by the number of women who quit their jobs during
Really quite sad,
menopause. There may be an opportunity when you think about large employer groups, offering these types of devices at a discount too.
For sure. I think that this is a great sales pathway for us in the future. Any other questions?
I think that brings us to time.
Thank
Great
you
job,
so
Lowen.
much.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Colette from Libby Labs. or Libby Health, excuse me. I'm sorry, Colette.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hello. Been excited to be part of this accelerator, so appreciate all of the support. And hello, my name is Colette Ellis, and I am excited to share with you Libby Health. We are addressing inequities in mental health care and supporting women of color through life's difficult transitions. And today we're here to talk about the menopausal transition. And when I look at this quote from actor Tracee Ellis Ross, the part that jumps out at me is the fact that your body can become like a foreign object. And I can personally relate to that when I think about my personal journey and thinking about what's going on, who can I talk to about this, going through the change, is this really happening? And what I want to share with you is that if you're a woman of color going through this transition, it can be even more difficult, more stressful, and more harrowing. And here's why. So Black women are 50% more likely to experience hot flashes, 22% more likely to experience physical challenges, as well as 5% more likely to experience depressive symptoms when we're going through the menopausal transition. And it's this last bullet around depression that I really want to drill down on because it's actually connected to our solution. So women of color are twice as likely to experience an episode of depression, but only half as likely to seek or receive treatment. And when we do seek or receive treatment, we're often misdiagnosed or misunderstood because just 4% of US psychologists are Black and 5% are Latinx. So you might say try mental wellness apps, which we absolutely do, but less than 1% of the mental wellness apps currently in the marketplace actually focus on BIPOC mental health. So we've seen the gap, and that's why we're building Libby, a user-friendly mental wellness app that allows users to support them through this journey and transition, dealing with the anxiety, dealing with the frustration, being able to actually track their mood changes and mental health, as well as to reinforce the self-care that can actually improve their overall well-being. So we like to say that Libby is the star of the show. So we are actually building a chatbot named Libby. And Libby, when you interact with her, she is digitizing an evidence-based healing method called EFT, or emotional freedom technique, or tapping. So based on the emotions that you share with Libby, she will tell you what point to tap, what to say to help you relieve and release that experience from your mind and your body. It's proven to support users through anxiety, depression, and actually with continued use to support those symptoms that postmenopausal women experience. So what are we hearing? We have over 200 users on the platform. We know that they think that the chatbot is easy to use, that the guidance is helpful, and as we continue to iterate on our content marketing strategy, our most active platform is actually LinkedIn, and we're growing with followers and visitors. So we know we have a large market in which to scale. 1 billion women worldwide to enter menopause by 2025, 1.3 million of them here in the US each year. So if we look at our target market, that's 780,000 Black women and up to nearly 2 million Latinx women over the next 5 years will go through this transition that we can support with Libby. So how are we doing it? How are we making money? In year one, we've already acquired 2 B2B customers, Amazon and Hurdle Health, to be able to support their employees through employee wellness and DEI initiatives. And we just actually entered into an arrangement with Stigma, which is a Chicago-based mental wellness app, to have Libby be included in their in-app resource directory so that we can reach more users and potential subscribers. I like to say Libby is being built for women of color by people of color. I myself am a second-time founder, also spent time working at COM as well as internal HR, so I understand what our B2B customers are actually dealing with in terms of bringing in vendors. So where are we going from here? We actually are so excited to join the Matter Health community, which is going to enable us to expand our network to connect with more healthcare organizations, companies, so that we can launch more pilots, secure more partnerships, gather more data so that we know which features to include in the native app. So the investment opportunity is a $750,000 pre-seed raise, and we're going to be using that to be able to expand our team so that we can acquire, again, more customers for pilots and expand to paid users, as well as launch our native mobile app. So think about it. Thoughtful, empathetic, caring. if you were a woman of color going through this menopausal transition, wouldn't you want an app like Libby to be able to support you through that journey? So I thank you for listening. Would love to answer any questions, as well as to be able to invite you to join us so that we can continue to reduce inequities in mental health care and support more women of color through their life's transitions. Thank you.
Great job, Colette. And we're ready for questions.
I could start. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. I did want to ask that in your presentation, you didn't describe the evidence behind EFT tapping. Could you give a little bit about what evidence you have that this is actually a technique that is effective?
Absolutely, yeah. So EFT, emotional freedom technique. So what is the method is actually you are tapping on acupoints while you are speaking about your issue. And each of the acupoints are connected to different meridians in the body, as well as being associated with different emotions. So there is evidence that shows that it's helpful in relieving anxiety, depression, PTSD, and the study that I mentioned in the presentation, with consistent use over 8 weeks, it also was able to support postmenopausal women to relieve their symptoms. So they're NIH studies, and they're available on our website, tapwithlibby.com.
Thank you. And then one quick follow-up, and I'll turn it over, is that being at University of Chicago, we are extremely interested in access and equity. And I love that this is centered toward being inclusive and toward the BIPOC community. But I'm interested that it's only for the BIPOC community, and why wouldn't you open that to be inclusive of all races and ethnicities?
So we like to say we're targeted but not exclusive, because actually EFT tapping is universal, so anyone can tap. So anyone in this room could actually benefit from tapping with Libby. But we're actually in our conversation design, it's a trauma-informed approach. So there are certain issues that people of color are dealing with. So for example, things like microaggressions, things like racism, and those are things that we include in the dialogue so that users know if they are experiencing that, perhaps even in addition to other things. You know, you think of the wheel of life, right? There's work, family, finances, and then we also include these other issues so the user actually understands, wow, Libby gets what I'm going through as a woman of color.
Thank you.
I'm also very excited about how inclusive this is. You know, I mentioned that one of the areas I look at is social determinants of health, and how do we make sure that all folks are getting the right access to care. You know, we've done a lot of learning about mistrust and distrust of the healthcare community, as well as willingness to engage with the healthcare community versus how women may leverage more like community groups or church groups or their hair salons and things like that to get their knowledge and insight. I'm wondering two things. First off, what insights do you have regarding this patient population's willingness to engage with a specific app, and specifically with mental health as it relates to mistrust, distrust, and stigma around mental health? And then I'll pause my second question.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that question, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, and part of this is also, right, so Libby is not designed to replace a coach or a therapist, right? So it's actually something that can be used as part of a treatment plan if someone is engaged in that type of care. But to your point, we are looking at faith-based organizations. Like, I'm from New York City, right? So we've got a whole wealth of churches. And there's a church even in Brooklyn where we know that they are already doing sort of mental health. There's like a mental health ministry. So we are looking at those channels to be able to introduce Libby, as well as coaches, networks like Inclusive Therapists, Therapy for Black Girls, Melanin and Mental Health. So there are a number of these networks that have practitioners of color that are part of it. So we are definitely looking at those channels as well.
And then my second question is, I think this is really universal to all women, right? Not just those that are in menopause.
Right.
So are you specifically targeting menopausal women, or is it something that you could, broaden to any woman who's experiencing mental health issues?
Absolutely. So we are looking also at postpartum as another audience. So like when you think about, again, these difficult transitions and where mental health, I mean, yes, of course, our whole life cycle, right? Mental health is important. But then we're looking at what are some of these other unique stressors that then sort of, compound some of the issues that a woman might be going through.
Mm-hmm. All the questions I had were already asked, so I'm good.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Great job. All right, next up, Melody. Come on up. We're all good to go from Live Labs.
Thank you. I have props. All righty. Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to tell you about a consumer health tech company I'm leading called Live Labs. We make solutions for incontinence. I co-founded Live Labs with Carly Price, who invented a medical device I'll be telling you more about here shortly. My background is really developing consumer conveniences, typically for big brands, and I spent 10 years of my life making food service faster and more convenient at McDonald's. Carly is a master at reinventing the most basic things to make them better and more magical, and I would say she's even reinvented the pillow. If you have a Casper pillow, you have her to thank. So we're now tackling a problem that 29 million Americans worry about, and that's leaking pee in public. Very few of them realize it's a medical condition called urinary incontinence. It's actually already a $7 billion addressable market here in the US and 10 times that globally. It strikes athletes, new moms, but most especially 27.3 million American women in midlife and beyond. Now, aren't these women getting help? There are lots of safe and effective treatments. Only a third of them ever bring their symptoms to a clinician, and when they do, it's typically after 6 years or more. And they very often walk away with the notion that, well, there's two extreme solutions: Kegel exercise, which doesn't seem like it would work, or surgery, which is a big consideration and not an option if you want to have more children. If they look around at the market, OTC, again, more safe and effective solutions, some which eliminate symptoms, and others which tackle the root cause of the problem, but they're all standalone solutions, not bundled and not integrated. So most women with this problem, believe it or not, hang up their running shoes and start wearing incontinence pads, ultimately spending up to $750 a year to sit in their own urine and worry about diaper rash or smelling bad. All right, so there's a problem. Our solution, we believe, is holistic and tackles this in two ways. We're developing a simple medical device to keep women dry at the gym, wear it just on the treadmill or all day, every day, and a virtual care platform to help restore natural continence for those women who'd like to do that. Both available affordably and direct to consumer. So it started with my co-founder's invention, and I'm actually, for those of you in the room, going to show it around. We intend to sell it first in a kit, 2 sizes. Here they are. This is a vaginal pessary for stress urinary incontinence. Think of it as a prosthetic for the urethra. It's soft and squishy, and ours fits easily into a reusable applicator. It can be inserted vaginally, just like a tampon, pushed up in there. If it's properly positioned, women don't feel it. And to remove it, simply reach in and pull. This can be used with estrogen and vaginal lubricant for older women. And in terms of how it works, it basically just presses on the urethra through vaginal tissue. So to give you the 101. Now, we have feasibility tested this with a small sample of women, and the very first woman leaked over a cup of urine without intervention and less than a 1/4 teaspoon width. Among the 9 women we tested, our effectiveness was in a range of 68 to 98%, which easily clears the FDA hurdle of 50%. More importantly, they said things like, I will buy this product for any price. And with this, surgery is off the table. These stellar results led to a $1.9 million direct phase 2 grant from the NIH and then additional capital from the NSF and angel and VC investors. We now have 3 utility patents globally and 2 trademarks and more on the way. Yay. Thank you. And our clinical trial is underway at Northwestern University. I shouldn't plug it, but if you know someone, you might have them look into it. We are actively recruiting. We expect to be talking to the FDA in about 14 months or less. Now, in parallel, we're developing a virtual care platform, and that work is later in the pipeline, but probably first to go to market. So I'm showing you here today screens that we've designed but not yet coded. This application will bring what a pelvic floor physical therapist can do in person to a broader range of women on their own schedule. It includes effective training, full body and pelvic floor, daily plans to keep women structured and consistent, and using, for example, activity trackers to combine sleep and things like that with their direct pelvic floor work, and automated tailoring. So we're developing machine learning and artificial intelligence algorithms to complement and automate some of what would otherwise be manual, and most importantly, people. This does include an integrated coaching model. We know that people help people get better and that accountability makes all the difference. So we're not choosing one or the other. Now, our revenue model I won't go deep into in this forum, but I will say this. There are two parts. One-time purchases of the device, of programs that are enabled through the software, as well as subscription components for replacing pessaries every 6 months, buying accessories for the pessaries like lubricant, and coaching itself. We look at ourselves as a consumer health tech company and refer to emerging trends in the marketplace. So for example, what I'm calling purposeful fitness, a lot of fitness brands moving toward healthcare. And on the other side, healthcare services being delivered in digital ways for the first time. And we really feel we're part of this overall paradigm shift. Our R&D team includes experts in physical product, clinical practice, health informatics, software engineering, and user research. And we have an incredible external team of world-class late career experts in developing regulated products and services, as well as advisors across a spectrum of fields. Our go-to-market roadmap includes building our brand, our digital presence, and our device. We launched K+ training program online to establish a presence and start building content. We did that last year. We're going to be launching our training app yet this year to acquire customers and build our brand, all culminating in FDA clearance of our device. We are going to be raising a seed round later this spring, early summer. So for those of you in the room or at home, so to speak, get in touch if you'd be interested in talking more about participating in that round. We still anticipate continuing with a blend of investor dollars and non-dilutive grant funding. This money will cover our non-clinical testing, our app development, and commercialization. We're Live Labs, developing effective, convenient, and affordable solutions for incontinence for the 1 in 2 women over 50 who need them. And I welcome your questions.
Great panelists.
All right, thank you. I spend a lot of time on incontinence products, and it's the pee pads I deal with mostly. But we do a large volume of them. It's one of the biggest issues that we see with consumers is this dryness that matters and not wanting leaks and embarrassment. So congratulations on a great product. So just a couple of questions. On the one page, I couldn't tell is the $240 the cost of the device, or are you anticipating this selling on a shelf in a store?
Eventually.
Okay.
So we imagine leading with direct-to-consumer online. We have a strategy of starting first with clinician influencers. So even though only 30% of women see a clinician, when a clinician recommends something or answers your question about it in the affirmative, that's much more influential than finding something on a shelf and trying to figure out what it really is and if you should trust it. So that's our go-to-market strategy in terms of customer acquisition. And I think once we build and popularize the pessary as a great solution, then we can move into physical retail. But yeah, we'd love to be in big box.
Okay. And then where are you manufacturing?
Oh, and the pricing, sorry.
Yeah, and the pricing.
I'm not talking pricing in this forum, but I would just say generally we're going to be more affordable than the electronic Kegel training devices, dramatically more affordable than incontinence pads, but more than a menstrual cup. So definitely in that kind of a range.
Okay.
That helps. And the 240 is a blend of services and some assumptions about whether women would use just the device, just the software, or some combo.
Okay. And then where did you say it's being manufactured?
So right now we're still pre-revenue and in an R&D phase. So we're working with a prototype manufacturer in Minnesota, and we're actively scouting for a longer-term partner. We're going to use contract manufacturing for the
Okay.
device, yeah.
Okay, and the last comment I was going to make is, like certain state Medicaid programs do cover incontinence products at a covered cost. So just as you're exploring different options for
Exactly.
coverage, just keep that in mind.
Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Allison?
Yes. So I don't have a lot of knowledge in this space, but my question is more about your app. But I have a hypothesis that when it comes to pelvic floor therapy, that usually there's a diagnostic phase to understand which type of exercises are best for the particular woman's situation. If something's too tight, if something's too loose, what have you. Is there going to be a diagnostic component to the app to help recommend which exercises are relevant to them?
Absolutely. So actually our pelvic health expert is sitting right behind you. She's developed our launch program, which is 6 weeks. It starts with your classic digital health experience, right? There's an online survey that narrows it down. Then there's a face-to-face experience where it's a telehealth session where the pelvic health specialist can go into dramatically more detail with the person. And then there's a 1-week experimental phase of seeing what works. This model includes daily messaging. So the access to the clinician is direct and immediate. So there's more hand-holding, if you will, up front and sorting out what works and doesn't work. But we're also automating some of that by monitoring use of the app, behavior through the activity monitors, and then just direct questions based on the exercises. So it's not, again, it's not a self-care experience. It's a guided and managed care experience, but it's just that much more convenient. It can be done at night, it can be done on weekends. It can also be used by, so we are still in the product market fit piece of this product. It can also be used between the sessions by a clinical therapist.
Just a follow-up question. Did you consider some sort of physical diagnostic that could send data to the cloud that could help inform whether or not
A vaginal insert of some kind?
I wasn't going to go there.
No, we're
but
not, not opposed to that. That's a distinct possibility. Yes.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, 2 quick questions. The first is you mentioned that you have a trial going on at Northwestern. What is the total number of participants that you're going to be recruiting, and what is your timeline? When do you anticipate that study will close?
So we're looking for a completed set of 57 women to get our statistical analysis right, and we're making some changes to the approach in order to accelerate progress. But we think we'll be ready to talk to the FDA in 14 months. So closing the study and doing the analysis in that time frame.
And how do you anticipate that patients will be able to determine which size they need of the 2 sizes?
Truly comfort and trial and error. So there is, our instructions for use include a kind of self-sizing guidance, but in our feasibility study, there was really no predicting which of the 2 sizes women preferred, and we just let them roll with what they liked.
So both of them come in the one?
For the kit,
Yeah.
the initial kit, and then the replacement product we can put on a subscription basis. You tell us which one you like, that's what you'll get.
Thank you.
Sure.
I forgot one question, really quick. I know you're expecting 510K approval, you said in January of '24. What claims are you expecting to get approval on?
I'll talk about the claims we are trying to get approval on. I don't know about expectations. We're testing the device as a wash daily product. So that is unique in the marketplace versus wearing for 8 to 12 hours. We're testing the product with menstruating women, which is also a differentiator. And just the very fact that it's reusable for up to 6 months is novel. So because of the basically the FDA has set a higher bar for us in terms of our non-clinical testing based on some of these differences versus existing over-the-counter products. But we're fairly confident that we'll have great results. So let's see.
Fingers crossed. I was just more thinking if you had that one slide where you showed the difference in leaks with the teaspoon.
Oh,
If
the
you were gonna-
effectiveness
The
data?
effectiveness, if you were going to be able to make an effectiveness claim on PAC.
Absolutely. We will clear the FDA hurdle of 50%. So There's no doubt.
Great job, Melody.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. We are on to our next pitch. Missy from Renalis, come on up.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone for being here today, and for Matter, and for 51 Labs and our incredible mentors. I'm Missy Lavender, founder of Renalis, where we are creating software-based solutions for issues below the belt, starting with persons assigned female or women. So that bucket we call pelvic health disorders, and just to orient you, leaking, bleeding, chronic pain. Doesn't that sound like fun? So we're starting with a big condition called overactive bladder. So anyone with a bladder is eligible eventually, but we're starting again in the women's health space. So imagine your life. You're getting up 10 times a night because you have to go to the bathroom, sometimes rushing, at risk to fall and break a hip, if that resonates with anyone. Or you map your entire day based on where the bathroom is, do you have a change of clothes, where it gets to the point where you're afraid to leave your house, leading to anxiety, depression, lack of intimacy, lack of activity. Overactive bladder can conservatively impact 20 million women. I will tell you that that is a conservative and underestimated number. It does start to show up around menopause because our bladders are estrogen sensitive. And it is a very shameful, debilitating condition. The thing is that it's also the most expensive condition below the belt. So we spend about $100 billion in this category, and 70% of it is with this one condition. And things are, all bets are off if you're black, brown, or poor, a person of color. So here's the thing, there are some really good treatment options. First line, we've got behavioral therapy. The zenith of that is pelvic floor physical therapy. There's some great medications, and there's some really lovely things if you can last long enough in the care pathway down on third line. The problem is there's very few providers. They're all clustered in places like Chicago, and if you're lucky to be in Chicago like I was, and you get a referral to one of the 5,000 physical therapists, that's fantastic. If you're not, it's not fantastic. Drug adherence is very low, and the cost of care is high, and for all these reasons, only about 4% of patients actually make it down to third-line care. I want you to meet one of our favorite customers. Her name is Dr. Denise. She's a private urogynecologist here in Chicago. Literally, they are drowning in overactive bladder patients. She has 5 MAs out there answering the phone calls all day long. And her problems, which we heard echoed and echoed and echoed in our care, in our customer discovery, was, look, I spend twice as long with these OAB patients than I do with my stress patients. I go through all this stuff. I give them a protocol. 2/3 of them don't even come back, or it's like Groundhog's Day, and I have to do it all again. And they never even get to hear about the wonderful things that they could hear about if they lasted with me. So can you just handle them for me until they're ready for us to do our magic, but then bring them back? So I'm introducing Cece today. She is our platform. She has she, her pronouns. She will be the first prescribed digital therapeutic for overactive bladder. She is going through FDA clearance, we'll talk about in a second. So Cece takes your data and puts you through a lovely bladder diarrhea experience and your patient goals, and then sets you off on an 8-week treatment journey, which is a standard of care. The beauty of her, beyond all of that, in the privacy of your own home, on your smart device or tablet or computer, is that she also only connects you back to your care team if and when you need additional care, which is what our customers were asking for. So for the providers, we take this high cost when it comes to time and really turns it into a revenue generator. So giving them freed up time and more additional potential revenue on the further down the line. But from the payer's perspective, it's the opposite, right? These are expensive patients that are chronic, and we give this value-based solution very inexpensively. So to date, we've conducted our proof of concept study, which is step 1 to get to FDA clearance. It absolutely hit the ball out of the park, to bring the guys into the room. 80% of the patients were either very or extremely improved at the end of the 8 weeks. And most importantly, the ones that weren't all the way there are still connected to care. We've raised both our pre-seed round last year. We've gotten 2 non-dilutive grants, and we are applying for a phase 2. And we have just announced a big strategic partnership with a neurology-based nurse navigation company who came to us. They have 15,000 patients. They are also drowning, and we are the potential top line. That is my son calling, who launched my career. God love him. Okay, so regulatory pathway, we're on track. And raising the round that we're raising right now will allow us to get to our pivotal trial and FDA clearance. So we are raising a $2.6 million seed round. It's expensive to get to this FDA thing, but we are excited about what's going to happen on the other end. My team is fantastic. We've got about 50 years of combined pelvic health experience, a super deep bench when it comes to commercialization and regulatory. In the competitive arena, there's one company out in Europe that's a pretty direct competitor, not here yet. But we'd like to say we complement, not compete, with the second and third line people, all of whom we'd like to partner with. So thank you for letting me introduce you to Cece today, who's bringing evidence-based, value-based solutions to people with overactive bladder and conditions beyond. Thank you so much.
Great job, Missy. Whenever you're ready, panelists.
Thank you so much. Could you go into a little more detail about what the app does with the patient? What is it physical therapy? Is it cognitive behavioral changes? What does the app do?
Yeah, thanks, Sherry. So behavioral therapy, as it's known and well published in this space, is the gold standard first line of care. So it's a combination of topics like fluid management. What are you drinking? How much are you drinking? What's in the drink? Pelvic floor, but a slightly different orientation to your pelvic floor. So around urge suppression, so different movement. So there's some orientation there. Constipation, and why is that a thing? Lengthening that time between bathroom stops, or voids, as we like to call it. Nocturia, so if you're getting up a ton at night, what's that about? So it takes the patient's data and goals and then says, okay, we'd love you to get in touch with your nocturia problem because you're getting up 10 times a night, but you want to make it through a movie, so we're going to start you there. We're going to go to urge suppression. So it builds on all of these kind of these standard of care building blocks to bring to that patient to their goal. And then we check in halfway through with another one-day diary. And at the end, there's validated surveys on either end. And then we're able to show her and her care team how she's doing along the way. At that midpoint, for example, and then other places in the app, if they're not getting better or getting worse, the app would then flag back to the practice, but only at those points.
Thank you.
Sure.
So I have 2 questions. You mentioned in the beginning patients, it captures their data. Mm-hmm. How does it capture their data, and what data does it capture?
So good question. So we have validated questionnaires in the beginning. So things from quality of life, symptom survey, we're doing an anxiety screen, their goals, for example, and then that's where patients think they are, right? And then we have this 3-day experience of a digital bladder diary that actually shows us what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. So we have number of times they go to the bathroom, what their urgency level was, how frequently they went to the bathroom, did they leak, what were they doing before they leaked, what was in what they drank, how much they peed. And it was probably one of the most interesting things about the proof of concept study is those things didn't change, what they drank and what they peed, but what they drank decreased, so their bladder irritant consumption went down by over 50%. So that was a mindful behavior change that we were able to show or they were able to show us that they did, which is really exciting because behavior change in digital health is really hard to do. So,
Well, one of the things I find interesting is there's always a challenge with active tracking versus passive tracking, right? If you have IoT-enabled sensors or wearables or things like that, have you considered an approach that would allow for passive tracking?
yes. So what we're not going to do is reinvent anybody's wheel. So I get asked that all the time. Are you going to have a pelvic floor trainer? Are you going to have it? No, we will not. But there's some great health data being collected currently in things like Apple Watches. So we're interested in sleep, mental status, liquid even, some people track water, activity level, for example, as a prompt potentially to say, hey, we just noticed you're getting up a lot more at night. Could there be something there? So we'll integrate with available APIs and passive data, but we are not going to go into that space.
Sure. No, I just recently read about a new, a pending FDA clearance, but something that sits in your toilet that can measure different things about your urine and things like that. So, to me, that's kind of like a passive way of being able to track, volume of urine and things like that. So I was curious if you were thinking about that as a way to minimize the amount of effort that a patient would have to go through in order to get this type of insight and knowledge.
Yeah, and to address that, my co-founder is a biomedical engineer and urogynecologist, so he and his dad have already figured out the algorithm on something called a K-value that I don't even want to go into. But we've been looking hard at the toilet, but again, there are some good things either out or coming out, and it's logical that we would add the data solution to that, or the digital solution to that.
Great, thank you.
Hi, just a couple questions. I don't think I saw it on the slide, but I was also jotting down notes. So did you say how much this would cost to a consumer?
I did not. So it would be prescribed, and the patient would go to a digital pharmacy, a specialty pharmacy, which we will have in place when we launch in our go-to-market. The cost right now is $399. We will buy that down, similar to a copay card, to $75. And that's a very similar strategy that some of the medications use. Even at the full price, and then we'll gather the data in order to go back to the reimbursement community and say, okay, look, here's what we're saving you on health economic research. And our goal is to have it be a reimbursable, a prescribed and reimbursable digital therapeutic.
Okay, that was my second question. Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
Great job. All right, great job, Missy. Next up, we have Barbara from My Menopause RX.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. This has been a great 12 weeks. I've learned a lot, and I'm excited to present to you our company. My name is Dr. Barbara Hanna. I'm a gynecologist. I am a North American Menopause Society practitioner and a minimally invasive pelvic surgeon. And I'm going to present to you my Menopause RX. 5 years ago, I joined the North American Menopause Society. And I was quickly introduced to a gigantic gap in women's health care. And women desperately need access to menopause health care. In 2021, I researched treatment protocols and with my co-founders founded My Menopause RX with our mission to improve health care for women nationwide. It's a sad truth that your significant other, mother, sister, aunt, cousin, boss, coworker, and maybe even you yourself are making appointments with your OBGYNs to discuss your intrusive and bothersome menopause symptoms like hot flashes, night sweats, anxiety, depression, brain fog, and sexual dysfunction, yet are leaving those appointments left feeling miserable, dismissed and denied gold standard treatments. 80% of OBGYNs have no menopause training. A woman's trusted healthcare provider. And untreated menopause symptoms affect everyone, including you. Up to 70% of perimenopausal women experience symptoms of depression with an employer cost of $4,100 per woman per year in missed work days. And untreated hot flashes and night sweats cost an employer $2,100 per woman per year suffering. With 8,000 U.S. women entering perimenopause and menopause each year, the menopause healthcare market is an endless renewable opportunity. Our solution is My Menopause RX, where we smash the menopause taboo, beginning with our name, sending a proud and clear message to patients that we treat your menopause symptoms. We are the only virtual-first hybrid gynecology office that is devoted to menopause health care. We are in-network with major insurance carriers, and we offer patients the choice of using their health insurance or our value-based virtual care platform. Our exceptional care begins with compassionate providers, gynecologists-led teams that are certified by the North American Menopause Society. Listen, explain, and collaborate to provide holistic care. Our longer provider face-to-face times, our integrated menopause health intakes, and validated screening questionnaires have resulted in our patient retention rate of 98%. Since not all women's health care can be delivered virtually, nor, quite frankly, do all women actually want only virtual care, our hybrid model affords women with the ultimate flexibility of a healthcare home that's designed just for them. Our current business model requires health insurance credentialing a lengthy and highly regulated process, but a proven and predictable revenue model. We are in network with major insurance carriers, and we generate revenue from patient care virtually, in person, and hybrid, along with diagnostic testing services. To improve workplace wellness, we launched our business product, My Menopause RX for Business, a virtual care program that is customizable across all sectors, employers, payers, and health systems, not as competition, but as a value-add service feeding back into their system. Improved access to menopause specialists can save an organization $6,200 per woman per year. Over the next 12 months, we will work to expand our virtual care platform by adding additional services like prescription weight management. We will be expanding to additional states and credentialing with Medicare and Medicaid for virtual care. My Menopause RX hybrid solution is the superior solution. Our hybrid office, along with our telemedicine service and our lab testing, clearly sets us apart from the competition. The My Menopause RX team's passion and grit, directly from inside the healthcare system itself, has already accomplished the heavy lifting. We have grown our women's healthcare company into a profitable business that is ready to scale. We are currently seeking a strategic partner to offer our virtual business benefit to their employee population or to their healthcare system. We are also asking for $3 million in seed funding to help us with critical hires and expanding our virtual care platform with opening an additional physical in-person clinic. I think you'll agree with me. The women in all of our lives deserve to live their best life, and My Menopause RX is the solution that's helping them do so. Thank you.
Hi, I'll start off. How many are in the program today, and in how many states?
So we are currently in Illinois. We have our flagship office is actually in the western suburbs in Wheaton. And so we're only servicing Illinois currently, but we will be expanding our virtual care to additional states.
And how many lives today are you interacting with?
How many lives?
Yeah.
Over 1,500 lives.
Okay.
Can I ask you, with the ending of the public health emergency in May of this year, and with that the ending of telemedicine across state lines for most insurance companies, how do you see this as being scalable in a telemedicine capacity?
And so we have a group of providers that will be multi-state licensed and are contracting through our hub in Illinois will then expand across state lines to process claims.
But you would need to have those physicians licensed in every state where that person was insured, correct?
That is correct. And so right now we are utilizing the Interstate Medical Compact as our initial mode of scaling physician licensings.
And how many physicians do you have right now that are with My Menopause RX?
And so currently the only physician who is actually providing care is myself. While we are bootstrapping, that's why we are looking for funding, I actually have a list of physicians who have expressed interest and are ready to join the platform once we're ready to scale.
Thank you.
So I think this is a fantastic idea to dedicate services to women's health. I think one of the things I have seen is a big proliferation in these types of services. How do you make sure that you are differentiated and the preferred partner for the payers that you've listed?
So we are providing evidence-based healthcare for women. And so When we talk about differentiating our services, our experience thus far is women who are no longer looking for maternity services are actually looking for an environment and an office that is dedicated to that next phase of life. And our name alone has really built our business because women are identifying that, oh, I'm going to get care about my problems and I'm not going to get dismissed. And so it's actually just the service that we provide differentiates us.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Christine from Patient Orator.
Thank you. Thank you so much. First, I'd like to say thank you to Matter Health for this opportunity to be here. I'm an award-winning storyteller, and I've worked in healthcare my entire adult life. I'm obsessed with making healthcare accessible for underserved communities. My company is called Barrier Breaking Healthcare Communication. When I worked on the front lines of healthcare in New York City, working with underserved people, I saw the interaction between the patient and the provider and actually got the insight to know what is needed for patients to communicate effectively in order to receive the care that they need. When we look at the problem of communication between patient and their provider within the context of Medicaid and menopause, we know that there's big cost savings to be had. And while there's this number of $1 trillion, I want to call attention to one thing. What is the underground issue? What is driving these problems? Really, when lower income women and women of color goes into their provider's office to be seen, they're not heard in the same way as their counterparts. Their voices are dismissed. They are treated with stigma. They're stereotyped as their skin color rather than the content of their character. And this is why it is hard to diagnose women that has complex medical issues. At Patient Orator, we've created a solution to address this problem. What you see here is two models, one which is a patient-facing application and a SaaS model to help the care coordination team. We've developed a structured way in which we'll collect the patient's symptoms, the medical issues that they're challenged with, how they want to be treated, and what their social determinants of health are. We want to make this information available to the provider so they could treat this patient or these women before they even arrive to their visit. Address some of those social care gaps. Oops. So what this looks like is Mary, who is experiencing symptoms, instead of being in and out of the emergency room, Mary downloads the Patient Orator app. She is continuously updating her medical issues within the application. Her care team can address her symptoms, her social determinants of health need. She is receiving ongoing support from her medical team, and her entire care team is in the know about her health. Mary can live without that prolonged suffering. From a competitive landscape standpoint, we know that social determinants of health is becoming a crowded space. But what makes us unique is that we're built for and by historically marginalized groups. I'm going to say this. The purpose of Patient Orator is to give the woman the control and the ability and the confidence to speak about her health issues in the comfort of her own home. That's what sets us apart from all of the other players in this field. And when we look at the electronic medical record, we want to make this solution integrated with those EMRs so that the providers can have that data within real time without disrupting their workflow. So, the Medicaid market, what do you need to know about it? 31 million women will experience menopause and are enrolled in a Medicaid. Medicaid is spending $500 more on a woman who is experiencing menopause symptoms. There's 18 million women that are in the workforce that are enrolled in Medicaid. but our go-to-market is really a small fragment of that number. 62 million women who will experience menopause on the earlier side of life, earlier than expected, in fact. We know that there's the ability to grow for 7 million BIPOC women within the United States. And when we look at this problem of communication from the standpoint of Medicaid, we know that Medicaid is spending $6.8 billion on this problem. The business case for this is simple: cost savings. And what this means is that we are planning to charge a per member per month rate of only $4 to 10,000 users. And we want to really improve the social determinants of health connection. Our leadership team has over 30 years of experience in healthcare, but my connection to this is really living with uterine fibroids, and it took me 3 years and 7 doctors to actually get diagnosed with this problem. Because as a Black woman, I know very well what stigma and biases mean. I also am a nationally recognized leader in the field of health equity and using the patient voice. So Allscripts awarded us first prize a few years ago for this approach, for wanting to address this issue of social determinants of health for underserved populations. And we've also been recognized by Johnson & Johnson Impact Ventures for this work. Up until this point, we have been fully bootstrapped. So the acts of the audience that are in here is that we're really looking for those piloted opportunities that will help us prove our hypothesis and prove clinical efficacy. And we're also fundraising $500 to $750K in a pre-seed round. I want you to help us change the narrative for women that are experiencing menopause in the United States. This is our contact information, and I would love any questions.
So I would love to stand and clap for you if I didn't have a mic, but I commend you for trying to address this huge issue. So thank you so much for your dedication to this issue, because it is very critical and huge. You know, I think this is an interesting approach to addressing the problem. I think you know, you've mentioned it, that there's a lot of stigma and unconscious bias on the part of providers, and I think your tool is a great way of helping give patients a voice and help get patients being able to advocate for themselves, which is also another hurdle. But I wonder, you know, how do you address some of that unconscious bias, and how do you ensure that those folks who are literally unconscious about their bias are willing to trust the patient orator? And then the second question is, you know, historically, there's real mistrust and distrust in the healthcare community from underserved patients. How is it that they are going to feel more confident and more capable to talk to people and physicians who may still have unconscious bias when dealing with them?
That's a lot, right? I'm sorry. So the first part of it, right, is that I've had the opportunity to look at the way people interact in their patient-doctor interaction. And I know that there's time limitation from the providers, and there's the added complexity of biases. We can't solve for someone inherit implicit or explicit biases. What we can do is help the woman understand how to communicate effectively, make this information available to the professional so that they're treating the actual issue. They're connecting the dots between the social, the medical needs that the individual has, as compared to the patient comes in, they present as a young, Black, strong woman, there's no issue. And so that's the way in which we're looking at leveraging this technology to overcome some of those biases, providing the data up front as opposed to that interaction.
And then how will you help patients feel that this solution can enable them to trust the healthcare community to do the right thing when they share this data?
So I think that the future of healthcare is really humanistic, right? So what we want to do is make this, as the patients are using the application, make them be able to connect with folks that are willing to address some of those needs that they have, so that they feel heard, right? And that they're not dismissed. So those are some of the ways we're looking at leveraging the technology, leveraging voice and other fields to make it accessible and overcome that distrust issue.
Excellent. Well, I would love to see this come to market.
Thank you for this wonderful presentation. I was wondering, you said that it will help women to be able to discuss their health issues from within their home. Can you give me a little more nuts and bolts about how the app helps to get the story and to be able to then help integrate that into communicating that information to the provider?
So we're, with the funding, we'll be able to integrate with the electronic medical record. We're agnostic, right? So our goal is to, when that patient record what the issue is, they're able to schedule their appointment through the application. The clinician receive that information into the EMR. What we're doing is turning that story into a clinical piece of a summary on this person. This is their story and this is why they want to be seen. And that information could be sent virtually in real time. So that's how we're looking to address that.
And are you using AI or a chatbot to be able to consolidate that information, or is it a person that is taking the dictation and then transcribing it?
So we have the structured survey format, which the patient is filling in that information that is being requested of them in a way that the clinician will need to treat them. So how long have you had this issue, for example? Where exactly is it? These are things that people ordinarily forget about once the issue is done in that moment. So we're helping to capture that information in that way.
And have you started yet to talk to some of the larger EMRs to be able to see if they are amenable to a integration?
What we know is, based on our winning first prize with Allscripts, is there is a great need for this, especially as it relates to underserved populations and addressing social determinants of health. So with that, we believe that that's an indication that there is future in what we've created.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, most of my questions were asked, but I do have one. When the patient enrolls in this, there's no fee to them, so it's free to them. They opt in, they check all the boxes to share with their healthcare provider, finish the survey, it goes out to their physician pool to then determine action against whatever the symptomology is.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
that's it, thank you.
I have a comment, not a question. One thing to think about is the patient journey, right? When women are at that age, they don't often go see their OBGYNs, right? They might see their PCP or go to a retail pharmacy. So it might be another pathway for consideration.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Great job, Christine. All right, we're ready to go. So we have 3 more pitches, and to kick us off is Marcia from Planapausa. Marcia, come on up.
Hello, everybody. I am Marcia. I am founder of Planapausa. Planapausa is the first FemTech focused on menopause in Brazil. She's Ana Maria. Ana Maria passed through menopause when she was 48 years old, and she didn't treat the symptoms because she was never diagnosed with menopause. And I can remember that this happened in her life, and her job, and her family. And I remember then she stopped your job because the symptoms, and how this affected my relationship with her. By the way, Ana Maria, she's my mother. And unfortunately, this is my first contact with menopause. And this impacted my life along the years. And past the years, I can realize 5,000 assessments with Planapausa. And discover that 60% the human don't know how to identify the symptoms. 77% don't treat the symptoms, and 83% feel at least 5 symptoms intensely. The problems are lack of information, access to treatment, and mental and social support. For these problems, I present Plenapausa, a digital healthcare platform, the trust source of information, connection, and engagement, develops supplements and telehealth, and how Plenapausa do that. When the user accesses the app, the first step is assessment. Then, with this information, the app suggests for a user physical exercise and supplements to manage the symptoms. And along of journal user, engagement with content, video lessons, symptom diary, and dialogue circle with experts. And in the next steps, offering telehealth. And the app works with monitoring tracking, individual improvement report, and artificial intelligence. Business models is D2C. The market size in Brazil, 34 million humans between 40 to 64 years old. And when I look for Latin America, 71 million humans in the same age. The revenue source is supplement selling. In the next steps, subscription and telehealth. Strategic go-to-market is influence marketing, member get member, and brand building. We're building up to here with assessment, dialogue cycles, and supplement sellings and app MVP. When I look for the next steps, telehealth, app infrastructure setup, Spanish version, and the app purchase. And for achievement this along this way, Google for startups, Matter, and the Stella VC in Brazil. Raising for $600,000 for financing research to the app development and pre-seed round. Our team, I am Marcia, founder, Carla, CCO, and Natasha Machado is a clinical director, and 5 headcounts to support. For us, menopause is a comma and a not full stop, and we are going to build this with care and treatment. Thank you.
Marcia, thank you so much. I wanted to know, when you talk about supplements, what are the supplements that you are offering, and how do you choose which supplements?
Okay, it's a phytotherapy, and I have a partner in Brazil that manufactures these supplements with Anvisa approval, like FDC here in USA.
So you're using evidence-based data to determine what your supplements are?
Yes.
Thank you. And do you have any doctors that are affiliated with the company?
Yes, Natasha Machado is a doctor, gynecologist.
Thank you.
Great job, thank you.
Thank you.
Just a couple questions, just a little bit more about the supplements. How many different supplement offerings will there be?
3 supplements.
3 different?
Yes. 3 SKUs, and offering in a kit for energy, for alleviate the menopause symptoms like hot flashes and brain fog.
Okay.
And for sleep and help to sleep. And 3 different supplements for different, 5 different symptoms.
Okay. And then the patient would purchase whatever the recommendation is, if it's 1 supplement or 2 supplements. And then are they paying for that just as a subscription program? So on a monthly basis, they get that offering sent to them?
These supplements is offered when you, the user assess the assessment, and list the main symptoms that in moment, and in the end suggest the supplements in the reason these answers.
Okay, thank you.
First, I really enjoy your tagline and your logo. I think that's very impactful.
Thank you.
I'm not as familiar with the Brazil market. How many other companies do telehealth? How widely adopted is it? And how do you seek reimbursement for it? If that's something that you're looking to do?
The telehealth, I am looking for this because the community, the customers ask for this, and especially doctors qualified to attend these women. And in Brazil, 63% health centers for health offering telehealth, and 95% of population use the smartphone for something. And in the big centers is okay, you assess the doctors and the specialists for determined things, but in other regions, in the countryside, it's completely different, and the telehealth can democratize this access and treatment for this human.
Great, thank you. Just a quick follow-up question. Are there any other companies in Brazil that are looking to offer women's health telehealth services?
To menopause, only for products, or only for big centers to offer something menopause too, but not specific, not talking with this human about the symptoms and care this human. Only telehealth for gynecologists, and use the menopause to call this human, but not care and give a treatment specific.
Great, thank you.
I had one more question. When you have the telehealth appointment with the doctor, do they only prescribe supplements, or would they also prescribe hormone therapy or other medicines to get at the pharmacy?
All alternatives to treatment this human. The human that can get hormone therapy, it's okay. The human that can't get hormone supplements, democratize this care.
So you do both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic job, Marcia. All right. Next up, we have Mara from SNPA.
Good afternoon. First off, I'd like to thank everyone from Matter. We've had tremendous mentorship. It's really made a huge difference. I thought we were perfect before, but now I know we've achieved sort of our ultimate apotheosis. So anyway, my name is Mara Holton. I'm the co-founder and CEO of SNPA, providing online care for down there, comprehensive at-home UTI care for women. And this afternoon, I'm excited to introduce you to Mia, who is not having a great morning. She woke up feeling like she was peeing razor blades. Mia's not alone. 37 million women in the US are diagnosed with UTIs every year. But like all 37 million of those women, life keeps moving for Mia while she struggles with the really pretty uncomfortable symptoms of a UTI. So what are her options? Well, her primary care doctor has an appointment in 2 weeks. She could go to an urgent care or an ER, but the wait is unpredictable, and she doesn't have anyone to watch her kids. Between dodgy care with limited or no follow-up, delays, risks, exposure, and expense, standard healthcare solutions simply aren't solutions. A virtual provider could prescribe antibiotics, but without testing, this is just guesswork. Upwards of 50% of UTIs are treated incorrectly, reducing healthcare to a coin toss. Heads you win, tails you lose. What's worse, the risks of the incorrect or unnecessary usage of antibiotics increase side effects, complications, and even more staggering is the fact that Even with therapy, 1 out of 3 women after a first UTI will experience another within 6 months. If Mia is menopausal, that risk increases to more than 1 in 2 within 6 months. Women like Mia need the right treatment right away, and that's why we developed SNPA, first of its kind solution, providing comprehensive at-home UTI care for women. With next generation testing providing greater than 96% sensitivity, Mia gets testing and expert care. SNPA is the only provider who is combining these modalities to provide care to this tremendous market opportunity. And we know that women are clamoring for this because we've been seeing them in our clinics for the last 20 years, because we launched a pilot project in our small market and the response was extraordinary. It's the best reviewed project in our market, basically. And because CNN is talking about it, Yahoo's talking about it, the New York Times is talking about it. Everyone's talking about women's health, and we're all here talking about how we can impact this marketplace. So how does it actually work? Purchase of a kit sets off a sequence of remote care and precise testing. SNPA gets a telehealth appointment with a provider who prescribes treatment for symptom relief. She collects a specimen at home or in the office or wherever she likes. And with overnight shipping and rapid lab turnaround, she has specific results as quickly or more quickly than with traditional alternatives. And with provider follow-up, we ensure personalized, directed treatment. Unlike other competitors, SNPA offers immediate support, avoids guesswork, identifies causative organisms, and provides precise and definitive treatment while lowering the risks and the side effects. Our business model is a combination of direct-to-consumer and channel partnerships involving physician groups, student health centers, and independent pharmacies. And I'm pleased to say we actually have 20 to 30 independent pharmacy locations who have agreed to stock our kits. We predict rapid growth in a regional market in Florida to $2 million within the first year. And in that first market, we'll be able to take care of volume-related cost reductions in order to double our margins. We have personally invested $500,000 in order to build the telehealth and diagnostic testing platform, including the legal and regulatory framework to support that, developing a proprietary PCR panel as well as our UTI test kits. And we sought to protect our IP with trademarks, patent applications, and 510(k) process. We're happy to say that we took delivery of our kits in January 2023, and they are available for sale online. In the next 12 to 18 months, with funding, we will refine our digital platform to improve the user interface, as well as improving patient data collection, bring on key hires, expand marketing and PR to achieve our revenue targets, and continue to further explore data aggregation and research opportunities. So on behalf of myself, Kathleen Mackey, Marcus Cognetti, I'd like to thank everyone. We have really worked incredibly hard to put this together. We have the professional resources and connections to create a viable, scalable model. SNPA will change the paradigm for how this condition is treated. We're asking for a $1.5 million seed fund to achieve our next set of milestones. We're obsessed with improving women's health, particularly obsessed with stamping out UTIs. So thank you. And I'm going to invite Kathleen and Marcus to join me for questions.
Hi, I'll start out with a couple questions. Congratulations, definitely an unmet need around that type of offering. In the 20 to 30 independent pharmacies that are selling the product today, is it behind the pharmacy counter or out in the aisle for purchase?
This is a DTC product, so they have agreed to stock our products. We just took delivery of the kits in January,
Okay.
and we're actually building the stands to bring them to the location, not personally building them to the locations.
I'm asking about that coming from a retailer with high retail, the price point and theft. Actually, we see a lot of theft in any type of mail away devices. So I was just curious how you're thinking about, we refer to it as shrink, when it shrinks out of our store. So wondering how you think about that.
So, can you hear me? So we are actually in the process of developing a just-in-case kit at a lower price point of about $49.95, where you can purchase it at a pharmacy or a retail location and then activate the kit for an additional cost when you need to use it, much in the way that people are keeping COVID tests
Yep.
in their closets.
And also, I'm trained as a urologist, so we think of shrinkage as a totally different thing. But, but the kit itself does not have a $200 value. So it does contain a card, but we can track theft. So really the kit, the constituents of the kit are not incredibly valuable. What you're buying with the kit is the ability to obtain the testing and the resource. So while I recognize from an inventory vantage point it's significant, I think there's some flux with that.
Okay. And then what lab testing network are you leveraging across the U.S.?
Yeah, so we currently have engaged with a lab testing organization that has 7 laboratories nationwide. We're enabled with one of those labs with 2 more going online. We've got the ability to run basically per analyzer 180 tests every 2.5 hours, and there's 5 analyzers in the network. But the way that we've built the model, very similar to Everly Wells, we've got the ability to distribute to other laboratories. So if there's a vertically aligned network that has labs, we could potentially integrate with them with the telehealth and kit solution.
Okay. And then last question was around product pipelines. So this is one type of test that you can do. Are you thinking about like what's next? And if so, what's next?
Do you want to tell them?
So we also have an STI kit that we are looking to roll out and a vaginitis panel with a self-swab.
Great. I like that you are addressing clinical inertia as one of the barriers to patient outcomes. I had a couple questions. The first one was, what is the data on the quality of the test, meaning false positives?
That's the easiest question in the world. So we run a PCR panel and a urine culture. So we use both the gold standard, but actually our PCR panel is proprietary and was designed based on tens of thousands of UTI tests to identify the most common pathogens. And by the most common, I mean, I say 96, but we're probably 99% of the UTIs. So we have an extraordinary capacity. The advantage of having the bimodal or asynchronous testing is that UTI cultures take a fairly long duration of time, but PCRs can be turned around in 6 hours. So it enables us to provide patients with prompt antibiotic therapy based on a PCR result. That can be tailored. It avoids these 10-day courses of antibiotics that are inappropriate, and then all the risks of antibiotic overuse, superbugs, all that nonsense.
Great, thank you. I'm just curious, why target independent retail clinics and maybe some of the smaller labs?
Because the national chains won't talk to us.
Good point.
But we're open to those conversations.
Great, thank you very much.
So a couple questions. Tell me about turnaround time, because as you pointed out, Mia is really uncomfortable. When does she get an answer?
So she gets a telehealth visit almost immediately. Do you want to tell them where it goes from there?
So our goal is to have telehealth visits available within 2 to 4 hours. Once that occurs, the provider can meet with her. She can be prescribed urinary analgesics or potentially a very short course of antibiotics. The overnight shipping is included in the price of the kit. Once it arrives back to the lab, it's about a 4 to 6 hour turnaround for results to be posted immediately to the portal.
And if there was an antibiotic that was prescribed before the PCR test and it turned out that it was a resistant strain and you needed to change that, then a follow-up prescription is called in?
Exactly. So that was actually, this was based on an in-place model where we were really looking at antibiotic overuse in our community and prescribing very short courses of empiric antibiotics. So the beauty of this is if you can get an appointment and get someone on pyridium and maybe even oxybutynin within a few hours, if they can get us a specimen in the mail, we can have a result to them by the next day. But if there's concern about that, we can give something benign, like 3 days, and I'm doing a lot of clinical talk, and Pam told me not to do that, but I'm talking to a doctor, so I can't help myself. 3 days of macrobid, which doesn't engender a tremendous amount of bacterial resistance, and then change them to a cefuroxime or something like that if that's more appropriate.
Thank you. And then was that correct that the retail cost is about $200 to patient? And is it eligible as far as FSA, HSA, and do you have any insurance carriers at this point that are interested in underwriting this?
So it is FSA, HRA eligible, and we are exploring options for capitated models with self-insured populations, and we've had a few discussions with a large
We're looking at a
self-insured.
large health system in Illinois.
Sure, because it seems like it would be a lot less expensive to the insurer than a urgent care visit or an ER visit.
We believe that, but we need numbers to prove it. So again, we're talking to, and Matter put us in touch with them, a large health system that's looking at running a pilot like that for us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great job, SNPA team. And last but certainly not least, we have Thermoband. So Markia and Debbie, here you go.
Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. I am Debbie Dickinson.
And I'm Markia Dickinson-Frazier.
And I'm the co-founder and CEO of Thermoband, where my daughter and I have created a health tech solution to empower women in midlife with immediate relief and actionable insights. Thermoband was born from my own lived experience as a perimenopausal woman, coping with debilitating hot flashes, which significantly impacted both lifestyle and livelihood. And I've tried everything, bought everything, tried everything on the market, and was really looking for a non-invasive tech solution. As a matter of fact, 93% of women are looking for a non-invasive tech solution to cope with the embarrassing and life-altering effects of hot flashes. Over 1 billion women are in menopause, with 80% experiencing hot flashes, which can last 10 years or more, especially for women of color, for whom hot flashes occur earlier, more intensely, and for a longer period of time, and impacts quality of life and occupational productivity, as we see in a rising cost of healthcare, as well as productivity loss. 1 in 5 women have either left work or considered doing so due to lack of management or symptom management. Introducing the Thermoband Zone, and it's considered a game changer by our early adopters and industry experts, and it provides preemptive hot flash relief as well as digital health insights. We have several patents pending on both technology and design. How does it work? The Zone leverages the award-winning science of thermoregulation, which is the body's natural ability to perceive comfort using temperature and touch. And we do that by using the receptors on the inner wrist. The Zone captures clinically relevant data using advanced sensors and self-reported behaviors through the app. And relative to efficacy, we've had hot flash sufferers indicate that they've experienced significant relief using the device, as well as a 67% reduction in hot flash interference. In terms of how we differ from other products, just freezing your pearls and wearing that is quite effective. But in addition to our design features, we offer the predictive activation, which is helpful. So it's manual as well as automatic activation. That's particularly helpful when you're sleeping, as well as personalized digital insights through a connected app. The device is offered at $299, as well as a subscription offer or subscription model for access to key data. In terms of our team, we have a very skilled and passionate team. Markia and I have both business degrees. I've actually practiced benefits law for a number of years, and I have over 30 years of industry and entrepreneurial experience.
And I've worked in supply chain and consumer goods for a number of years in manufacturing, and we actually were able to incubate the business while I was pursuing my MBA at Yale.
In addition, our team has hardware, software, startup, as well as thermal health experience, and we have a number of key advisors who are industry experts and physicians.
Awesome. So in terms of traction, over the past few months, we have achieved over $150,000 in revenue, which is growing at a rate of 8% week over week. We've amassed a community of over 60,000 women and continue to secure various distribution channels to scale. So we all know here the menopause market is massive, right? We're focusing on the hot flash market initially, which is $700 million annually in the US alone, and includes both natural menopause, surgical menopause, and medically induced menopause as well. So we'll focus on that market, and then we'll expand to the overall thermal wearables market. So in order to achieve product market fit, our goal is to build a repeatable and scalable CAC model. To achieve the first 500 pre-orders, we leverage social media advertising, press, and PR, or press and affiliate partnerships. In order to achieve 5,000 orders and beyond, we'll leverage live shopping, Amazon, as well as various distribution channels. So this kind of shows where we are, where we've been, and where we're going. The zone is currently in production. We're producing our first 1,000 units, and we are so excited to ship the zone in the summer of this year. In terms of fundraising, we're raising $2.5 million to scale our manufacturing, marketing, and add a few key roles in-house. We have over 80% either committed or soft-circled, and we are closing our round at the end of the month. So thank you all so much for your time, and join the movement to empower women with comfort, community, and insights.
It's very exciting. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
What have you all learned about the correlation between skin temperature and hot flashes?
We've learned that the skin temperature is actually what fluctuates over the core body temperature. So it's really using sensors to detect that fluctuation that has helped considerably relative to our activation and being able to realize that there is dysregulation that is being experienced and have the ability to have the device actually turn on for our users.
Okay. And then just a second comment. I'm just putting it out there that there might be other pharma companies that would be interested in buying your data. Just saying.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you so much. I was just wondering, how does it actually cool? Is there a device within the band itself that cools at the wrist?
Yes, if you think of a car seat, you hit a button and it turns cool, you hit a button and it gets warm. It's the same basic technology in a different form factor. So it's a thermoelectric pump, a battery-operated device that's able to do cooling and heating. And we have 5 levels of cooling, 5 levels of heating. And it activates, there is it gets cool on the inner side of the device on a receptor and is able to stimulate the hypothalamus and allow our body to perceive comfort.
And I saw the price point. Is there an ongoing fee is it like a subscription service or just the one-time fee?
The device is $299, and there is an ongoing fee that is optional for users. You're able to use the device without the app, but the app is $9.99 per month.
But the device will work
independently.
Without
exactly.
that. Exactly.
Thank you.
Okay. No problem.
I'm sorry, what did you say the subscription was going to cost per month?
$9.99.
$9.99? Okay, and then you said it's basically using a electronic cooling process. Is that like I think they call it like a Peltier technology where they're using it, or Peltier technology where they're using it in like massagers and things like that. So it's the similar technology to that.
Yes. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I have one more question.
Sure.
How would you describe the competitive landscape as it relates to these types of products?
Well, the use of recognizing that there's heating and cooling, right, and the ability to affect comfort. When we think about the distinction of this device, we know that, but based on the community that we've built, individuals are interested not just in immediate relief, but also in insights. So when we think of competition, just the use of cooling, cooling the pearls and then putting it on, we know work. But in addition, we know that there is an appetite for data and insights. So how we distinguish ourselves is being able to, not just in terms of the technology of the preemptive activation, but also the insights. And people are interested in being able to manage their care, to share that information with their clinicians, to understand what's happening with their bodies. We know that the VMS is directly correlated with health outcomes. So if you're just looking for heating and cooling, there are things out there, and again, just chilling your pearls. But if you want to take it to the next level in terms of enhancing your care, equipping physicians with this data, we know that 80% are not actually certified in menopause, and take it to that next level. I think it correlates well with an appetite for information and the recognition that women's health have been so underserved for so long. We're in need for data, we're in need for research, and we need to elevate our standard of care. And that's what we're doing.
Great, thank you. And then just a comment. There are a number of therapeutic areas in which medications cause hot flashes as well, such as oncology. So just another thing to think about.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, the surgical, the medical, the use cases are so vast that we're excited to make a difference. Thank you.
One more question. So how many women are actively using the device now?
150.
And how many, so right now the subscription service has not gone live yet, right?
No, it hasn't gone live yet.
Okay.
Correct. All right.
Awesome. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
All right. That concludes our pitches for today. So thank you so much to all of our startups for participating in 51 Labs for the past 12 weeks. It's been a pleasure working with you. And thank you so much to our expert panelists for coming out and for your insightful questions. One last thank you to Astellas, to Walgreens, Parkview Health, Baycare, Capita 3, and UChicago Medicine for your partnership. Yes. To our lead mentors, thank you again. If any of you would like to get in touch with any of the solutions that you heard from today, please email 51labs@matter.health. We will put you in touch with anyone, our expert panelists as well. And we're already planning our next iteration of 51 Labs. The focus area will be preventing maternal mortality. So again, if any of you are interested in getting involved, Parkview, please again email 51labs@matter.health or grab me out at the reception. There's a place for everyone. For those that were here in person, thanks for coming out. We're now going to welcome you all to a reception, which is just around the corner here. Thank you so much to our virtual audience for hanging in there for 2.5 hours with us. We hope you have a great rest of your day. And that's that.